Well, welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Jessica Trowbridge from Safe Families for Children in the Quad Cities. Well, welcome, Jessica, and thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Those listeners that may not be familiar with Iowa per se, where is the Quad Cities?
So the Quad Cities sits on the very far eastern edge of the state. We are right along the Mississippi River, so we would be considered eastern Iowa and northwest Illinois. So the Quad actually makes up 4 main cities, Davenport, Bettendorf, Iowa, and then you jump over to Moline, Rock Island, Illinois, and we're all kind of clustered and pushed together, sandwiched along that riverbank.
Now, I understand there's a company out around you that makes green and yellow tractors.
Yes, John Deere. We are the home of John Deere here. And then we also have the Rock Island Arsenal. We have Arsenal Island here. So that's a military base. That's a very popular thing here as well. But yeah, John Deere is what we're known for.
That's awesome. So to get things started, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of Safe Families for Children's involvement in the Quad Cities?
Yeah, so Safe Families, if you don't know, is part of a national organization which was founded in Chicago in 2003. And then this chapter, specifically the Quad Cities, was actually one of the original chapters started off of that founding. So we've actually had presence here for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20th year this year. So 2005 is when this chapter was launched. And we serve both sides of the river. We serve clear down into Muscatine, Burlington, Iowa, and then as far north up into Clinton County. And then on the Illinois side, we're mainly in the Rock Island, which is a partnering county with Scott County, Iowa, and then a couple of smaller counties around here. But we cover 6 counties on the eastern edge of that river in the Quad City area.
As leadership and founders were thinking about creating Safe Families for Children, and specifically the Quad Cities, what are some of the needs that they saw that are happening around, and which ones are you trying to work with?
I would say, just thinking about our one recent one that we've been navigating, is a young mom who has significant medical issues, and the housing crisis here in the Quad Cities is really bad. It's just, you run into barrier after barrier. So historically, and that is still running true today, our main purpose for supporting families is homelessness. We just have families and individuals on street corners all over the place here. So that would be, I think, our main need that we're trying to support families, is trying to host those kids until a housing alternative can be found, which is proving very, very challenging.
I mean, that is a big problem nationwide, but in some areas more than others. What kind of impact are you seeing as a result of Safe Families work?
We have really strong relationships within the community. It may seem like the Quad Cities is large, but actually we're very small. We really work hard partnering with a lot of different entities and organizations, and they actually will call us directly and ask us, hey, do you know where we can refer this family for this? Got a really strong key player on my team, Sydney, who is amazing at resources. And so I think relationship building is something that we're really well known for, and something that we've been able to partner with a lot of different places so we can resource families well.
So the work that you're doing, especially when it comes to relationships, are they kind of over a short period of time, long period of time, both? What does that look like?
I would say it's long-term. We actually had our 20th celebration event for the chapter this last week. And one of our speakers, he actually brings together community meetings once a month. So he brings partners from both sides of the river just to collaborate. So everybody knows who everybody is. So as we're working with families, and we've been working with him for probably 16 plus years. And so that relationship is very strong. And he's just one example of many. Even with the department, HHS, the state welfare department, we have long-term relationships with them too, with members that are still there, that they can still call us and still, reach out and ask for support or whatever the case may be.
So with the idea of safe families and then the homelessness, I'm assuming that the major work that you're doing with are probably single moms with kids. Is that correct?
Yep. And so even when we talk about relationships, even with the shelters here, we only have one family shelter, Salvation Army Family Shelter. Great relationship with that director. And so we can collaborate with her on these situations with these families. So that's just been a really key piece that helps us keep moving.
Sure. I know one of the key components of what you do are called host families, I believe is the term that you use. Tell us a little bit about who they are, what they do, and the role that they play within your work there.
Yeah, the host family, their primary role that they're doing is they're actually hosting the children in their homes for that family. That family is on the homelessness topic. So as they're navigating homelessness, the mom that I was just referencing, she's currently staying in a shelter where she cannot have her child. It's just they only allow adults, and because we're limited on family shelters here, we're able to host her baby. So she has a roof over her head. But our host families do other things too. They can be a friend to this parent. I mean, this particular host family that's helping this mom, welcome mom into their home this last weekend for a few hours. So she could spend some time with her baby. And so that was just a really cool relationship building piece for that host family and that mom too.
Sure. It sounds like you kind of are stepping in relationally between the host family and the person needing help that otherwise might be occupied by foster or Department of Human Services. Is that right?
Yeah. One of our core values is radical hospitality, and that can look a lot of different ways. But that's one thing that we really emphasize to our volunteers when they step into this, when they're interested in serving, is that relationship piece needs to be key. Because really what we want to see happen is after that family that we have served, typically a single mom, is that she can identify maybe another support in her corner that maybe she didn't have. Maybe it's someone that she met that she didn't know. Now she can call them up if she has questions or just wants a friend to talk to. So that's a really key piece to what we're trying to do.
Sure. So as you look, especially over the last 20 years, what are some key things that are signals that this particular person or this particular family or couple could end up being really successful as a host family? What does that look like?
Yeah, they really, flexibility is a big piece. Having a heart of hospitality, gospel focused as well, because we really are on mission too. I think Safe Families is unique in that there's a lot of opportunities for us to go to different places to serve, like at their location. But here you're actually doing ministry work within the walls of your home. Like you're welcoming that child, or maybe you're welcoming that mom for lunch, or whatever the case may be. So you're actually on mission within the walls of your home. And so one of those, is hospitality. Is that host family? Is that natural for them? Like they just want to be hospitable to whether it's a child or a parent. Are they flexible in their schedule because things can change? Are they open-minded because messy situations are constantly coming up? So being able to be understanding, have grace, empathy, that's really a key component as well to being able to be a great host family.
Are there any age brackets or lifestyle situations that are better than another, or is it pretty much from somebody that's a young couple all the way to somebody like me that's been retired for a while?
Yeah, so in our chapter, we've had retired couples. One family served with us for good friends of mine. They served with us for 10 plus years, and they were in their late 70s. And they just actually moved out of state, but they continued to serve. And so age didn't matter to them. I think that there's a stigma around people thinking that Safe Families is only for young families. We are starting our family, we have young children, so we are the ones that, we're targeting them. But that really isn't the case. We have single women that host. Again, we have retired couples that are empty nesters. And because they have the opportunity to say yes to certain situations that may be a time frame that's best for their family, the minimum age to serve is 25, but maximum is really your capacity, your availability, and your call to where God has you.
Sure. So from a relational standpoint, this person could be a substitute aunt, maybe a sister to the person that's getting the help, or a parent or a grandparent, or really it could be any kind of relationship depending on the age difference between the two, the host and the person being served, it sounds like.
Yeah, I remember this has been probably 8, 10 years ago, but we had an older lady. Her name was Alice, and she was 85 years old. And she wasn't able to host children in her home, but she could provide care for kiddos during the day if we needed her. And she didn't drive. She navigated the bus system. So we would place a little 4 or 5-year-old with her, and she loved it. And she would get on the bus and take him to the local park or take him to the museum. And she served up until she was no longer able to. So even at the age of 85, she was still called to serve in that capacity. And we just loved her willingness to still do that. She didn't let age stop her.
I would think in a situation like that, as well as overall, that sometimes the host family or person is being impacted as much as the person receiving the services.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
What are some stories that you've heard feedback from your host people in terms of the surprise benefit that's been to them?
I think just the blessings that they feel more blessed after they have served. I think their eyes are more open to what's really going on, maybe outside of the four walls of our home. And I think just they're seeing their own children where they thought that maybe their own children would not be as welcoming or adjusting to a change in routine, but seeing their own children step into a place of just wrapping around that child and serving. And how it really becomes a beautiful thing as an entire family, and not just maybe the husband and wife of the family, but maybe their children too. And so they have been able to see those, and how much their children's hearts have changed and desire to serve more too. I've seen that a lot.
Yeah. I know another key component of how you minister is through local churches. I think you call it sponsoring church. Tell us a little bit about the sponsoring churches, the role that they play.
Yeah, so we have several churches that serve in different ways, or we serve with them in different ways. Some of those ways is, how can we help them serve their community and come alongside of, maybe they have different families coming into their church that have needs. And so we have that framework that can be able to help them maybe approve those volunteers. We can help them make sure that they're have the liability insurance once they're approved. And so once that host family or multiple volunteers are connected to their church, we can then connect them to other families in their church so they can serve together as a church body.
What have you been hearing from the church, your sponsoring churches, in terms of how that's impacted them as a church?
Yeah, I think as they have watched their different members of their church serve, they have just been really, I think, encouraged to see that this is another avenue for their church to get involved. A lot of our churches here are really focused on missions, are very, very missions minded. And so they're really encouraging their congregation to serve somewhere. And so the churches I'm partnered with, they can use Safe Families as an example, like go serve with Safe Families. And so they can see the benefits of how their congregation is serving.
Sure. Well, it really sounds like overall, if I was kind of put a description over it, is you've got a person in need. One of the things that they're lacking is a support network. And Safe Families is really come alongside and providing that, as well as connecting them to resources that they need. If I'm somebody watching this interview and I'd like to consider being a host or a sponsoring church, what would be my first step?
Yeah, so the first step to serve would be, we do have an application online that you can go and fill that out, but you're also welcome just to directly reach out to me, whether a phone call or a text or an email, and I'm happy to answer questions. I think a lot of families and individuals that get stuck, where I hear over the years, oh, I wanted to apply and I wanted to serve, but we were thinking about this and we just would work. There's people like, if you don't want to apply right away, that's okay. Just give me a call if you have those questions that may be barriers in your mind, because sometimes that simple barrier that you may think is a large thing can be answered in a simple phone call. So talking it out first before you actually apply, happy to answer questions for you.
That's awesome. So what's one way that we as a support for you guys could pray for safe families this week?
So a couple of different things. First of all, we are in need of more host families, specifically in our Quad City metro area. We consider Scott County, Iowa, and then Rock Island County, Illinois. We are looking at more ways to figure out how to encourage more serve in that capacity. Right now, we have a great number of families that are about 45 minutes to an hour outside of the area, and it's just not sustainable long term to be able to build relationships with families. So that'd be one big prayer need. Also, for this young mom that we've been working with, that I mentioned earlier in the interview, we've been working with her about 4 months now, and because her medical needs are so great and the housing is so difficult, just that we can have an open door, that God will just provide an avenue of support. We can get her finally to a place of stability, both with her health and her housing. That would be a big thing for us right now.
Sure. Well, Jessica, I just really want to thank you for taking some time today to talk with me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate that as well.
If you've got any questions or if you'd like to learn more about safe families for children, especially in the Quad Cities, you could see their contact information here on the screen. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website or right here in the YouTube description. If you'd like to support this ministry financially, you can find links to do so both in the show notes as well as YouTube description. Finally, please consider sending an email of encouragement to Jessica. Let her know that you're thinking about her and praying for her. I know she'd really appreciate it. On behalf of Safe Families for Children Quad Cities, Jessica Trowbridge, and Partners in Ministry, I want to thank you for joining us today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.